Have you ever read a book so good that you just could not put it down? That's how I felt when I read The Housemaid. Written by Freida McFadden, The Housemaid was released in 2022 and follows Millie, a young girl with a dark past, desperate for employment. She gets hired by Nina Winchester to be a live-in housemaid for her family, consisting of her husband, the rich and handsome Andrew, and their bratty daughter, Cecilia. But is the seemingly perfect job opportunity too good to be true? The Housemaid is the first in a book series of three, along with a novella, and the book has been made into a movie that's coming out later this year with Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney starring. Now, this is going to be a spoiler review and major spoiler discussion of Freida McFadden's The Housemaid. And I also want to talk about the movie's casting and what I hope to see in the motion picture adaptation. First, I don't consider myself a fast reader, but I breezed through The Housemaid. It was a quick and easy read that I just couldn't wait to get back to. I finished in probably 2 days. It was such a page turner. The book is broken down into several parts, including a prologue and epilogue, and goes back and forth between Millie and Nina's perspective, which I really liked because it created an additional suspense in the story. The story starts with police questioning a woman, but we don't know who the woman is being questioned. Then the story jumps back 3 months earlier and we get to know Millie. From her point of view, she is hoping to land this dream job. She's an ex-con, and for the longest time, we don't know what she was in jail for, but she has been sleeping in her car and is desperate to land a job so she won't be in violation of her parole. At the interview for the live-in housemaid position, Nina seems excited to bring Millie on, saying she would have to do house duties like clean occasionally, cook, and look after the couple's daughter. It took some time for Millie to hear from Nina, but she gets the job. To Millie's surprise, her living quarters are not within the beautiful, spacious home, but in a damn near decrepit attic that locks from the outside. I know beggars can't be choosy, but girl, added to that, the gardener Enzo seems to be trying to warn Millie about something. Again, the signs be right there and people ignore them. When Millie initially meets Nina's husband, Andrew, he is standoffish and doesn't seem to want her there. He doesn't get why they need a housemaid, especially since Nina doesn't work, but he comes around to the idea of Millie being there. At first, things at the Winchester home seems cool and Millie is adjusting just fine outside of her bedroom door getting stuck and she's thinking she's locked in. Then a flip starts to switch. Nina begins displaying erratic behavior, leaving an absolute mess in the kitchen for Millie to clean, saying things to Millie, and then later acting like she never said them, and becoming extremely passive aggressive. Like, I thought I was getting gaslit. The amount of times I said, "What the hell?" reading this book was a lot. Millie then discovers Nina spent some time in a mental facility for allegedly trying to drown her daughter, and all of this is making Millie despise Nina. Also, during this time, Millie is getting closer to Andrew, and the two begin to have an affair. The affair gets to a point where Millie and Andrew want to pursue the vibe, and Andrew kicks Nina out of the house, but then a gotcha happens. After Millie and Andrew make love in the attic, she wakes up to find him missing and thinking the door is stuck, but this time it's not stuck. It's locked. And my jaw dropped because a reverse Uno Gone Girl twist was unfolding. The book flips to Nina's perspective and how she planned this whole Millie and Andrew hookup. Basically, Andrew is like a jigsaw mixed with Joe Goldberg. Horrible combination. He is this twisted, manipulative man who preys on desperate women and mentally tortures them and gets them to physically torture themselves when he feels they need to be punished. That reveal left me gagged. I think he has some serious mommy issues, and this is how it manifested. We meet Andrew's mom in the book, and you can clearly see that relationship is a key reason to why he does the things that he does. And the creepy attic is where Andrew would lock Nina in, often for days, to do sadistic acts. Nina knew the only way she could get away from Andrew was to give him someone else to obsess over. So she did things to make him hate her. Back in Millie's predicament, we find out she went to jail for killing the guy who was assaulting her friend. So Nina figured Millie could handle herself. Millie does get the upper hand on Andrew, traps him in the room, and essentially starves him to death. When Nina comes back to help Millie because she was having a guilty conscience, the deed is done, and Nina finesses her way out of the Andrew death. Nina and Cecilia are finally free of Andrew's terror, and Millie basically becomes a hit woman to help battered women get out of toxic relationships. I think the ending was satisfying, but I don't need any more of this universe. I mentioned earlier how The Housemaid is the first in a series of books, but I don't want more of it. I think it ended just fine and left me wondering about the possibilities, and that's enough. So now that all the book spoilers are out of the way, let's talk about the feature film. The film is slated to come to theaters on December 25th and is directed by Paul Feig, who directed films like A Simple Favor, Last Christmas, and Bridesmaids. The leading cast is Sydney Sweeney as Millie, Amanda Seyfried as Nina, Brandon Scalar as Andrew, and Michele Morrone as Enzo the gardener. Although I think the casting is good, I do have some reservations. With Amanda, I do love her, and I've seen quite a bit of her filmography, but she has such a cherubic face. It's hard for me to wrap my head around her as Nina, knowing how she is portrayed in the book. I'm sure when I see a first look or trailer, I can be persuaded to thinking she'll slay the role, but until then, I'm on the fence. And for what Millie needs to be, I think Sydney was a good choice. She'll be able to bring that seductress with a secret energy I think the Millie character has. And the way Enzo is described in the book, you couldn't get no better than Michele. Enzo isn't a major character, but he does have some crucial moments in the book. And I think he is by far the best casting choice. Now, for Brandon as Andrew, that does have me scratching my head a bit because Andrew is described as this super handsome, suave guy, and no shade to Brandon. I'm not immediately getting that from him. I did recently see him in The Drop, so I think he can deliver charming, but I'll have to see about the rest. I'm really hoping the film stays true to the suspenseful nature of the book, and I'm very curious to see how the film does the attic scene and handling going between the perspectives of Nina and Millie. But overall, I'm really excited for this movie. I love the book, and although I spoiled a lot, it's still definitely worth a read because there are details I left out, and just reading it all unfold will be very thrilling for you. So now I want to turn it over to you. Have you read The Housemaid and enjoyed it as much as I did? Or by describing this book, are you excited for the feature film? Let me know in the comments.